Here's our docking station. A quick overview of the docking station. At the top you have 3 manual buttons should you not want to use the app and just manually control the device. You can do that. It will map itself automatically and there will be no need to download an app. Under the top lid, these are your mopping storage units. This is your clean water tank. This is your dirty water tank. One thing I do have a complaint about is it goes through the liquid quite aggressively on the AI setting. It will repeat up to 3 mopping sessions within the same zone or room, and that can actually burn through probably half a container in just one room quite easily. So there may not even be enough water to mop your entire house if you have it on the AI mode, and you'll have to go ahead and replenish the tanks in order for it to complete the session. So that is one complaint I do have. The front cover is primarily where you're going to access your dust storage and your liquid concentrate. Here I just want to mention the only maintenance you have to do as far as cleaning the base station is in the docking area. You have this replaceable tray, which is what it uses for the scrub pads. You can just lift that out, give this a winch down the sink, and then wipe down the area where the residue drains down, and that's really the only thing you have to do as far as maintenance is concerned. Here in the actual vacuum you can see we have the LiDAR on top, and that's what does most of the navigation and determines where it is around the house. You have 2 side sensors, a main front sensor, and then a collision bumper. Underneath this magnetic lid is where you will go to occasionally change out your HEPA filter. This is the vacuum reservoir, which is one of the downsides because it's rather small and it does not know when to empty itself if it is full when you're cleaning your house. So potentially, if you are cleaning a very large area, this could fill up and it's not going to dock itself back into the base station and know when to empty itself out. When you take out your vacuum reservoir, you're primarily only taking it out just to replace this HEPA filter. I believe they say you can run it underwater, but they do sell replacements. Here's the downside of our vacuum robot, and what we can see is we have the 2 side brushes. When you go ahead and get your robot, you need to make sure these are clipped in all the way. Your mop pads here, you can see mine are actually dirty even though it's gone through the self-cleaning cycle a couple times. And mop pads are something you can take off. They're just velcroed on. Throw them in your washing machine. And as far as the microfiber wearing down itself, you do have to replace the pads every once in a while. The roller brush itself does come out for cleaning or entanglement. You just lift it right out. There is a very soft roller here, and it actually works quite well because it gets down onto the carpet itself. And the roller is also a replaceable item over time. So what it did there is it spun the rollers initially to clean the roller off, and then it did the vacuum to empty out what residual residue may have been in the storage tank into the dust bag. And it'll do that every time it returns and leaves for a vacuuming session. So what it does is it edges first, and then it does the main area. And of course it knows the zones, so it will not enter the bedroom there. For me, I'm using the NARWAL Freo Z10 for about a 760 square foot area, at least according to the app. That is what it has mapped out. And for that size area, on primarily these hard vinyl floors, it takes about an hour and a half for a vacuuming session. Of course, in the app you can also see where it has been, and they'll show you the track, a little breadcrumb trail, so you can track its progress. So when you start a mopping session, what it first does is it self-cleans the pads, and what it does is when it's parked, those pads sit down onto the insert grate and it spins them while cycling water through to clean the pads off. This robot does not have any onboard liquid tank for cleaning solution for the mops. So what it does is it'll run back to the base station to clean and resaturate the mops as needed. Alright, here we can see the NARWAL Freo Z10 doing its mopping session. It starts out the same as vacuuming, where it goes edges first, then it does the center areas. What's unique about it is on the back you can see the mopping pads. It can manually kick them out past the body of the robot, and that allows it to reach in the corners. So here you can see some of the snail trail that it's leaving when it's mopping. And as far as how much liquid it puts down on the floor, there's 3 different settings, from low, normal, to what they call wet, which is the most saturation. On AI mode, it will determine what to use from memory of past cleaning events, or whether it thinks the floor is still dirty, it will run out or run back to the base station and resaturate the pads and run another cleaning. So one issue I have with it mopping is that it self-cleans and recharges the pad after every room is complete, but it does not take into account the size of that room. So if you're mopping, like, say, just this 20 square foot area that I have here as a demo for this review, it's going to come back to the base station, self-clean, recharge, and that uses the same exact amount of water in those upper storage tanks as it would if it was cleaning, say, a 500 square foot big hardwood floor living room. So if it wants to clean this little 20 square foot section 3 times in a row under the AI feature, it's going to cycle through the same amount of water 3 times in those upper storage tanks as it would for a 500 square foot area. And that's going to diminish your water rather quickly. So that is something to consider necessarily when you're setting your maps. Maybe include 2 smaller rooms as 1 larger room, and that way it won't have to come back to the base station and use up water for just 1 small room. But that is something I would like NARWAL to potentially address in the future, because the consumption rate of the water storage tanks is actually quite high.